Audrey Hepburn, of course, went from actress to icon thanks to her work in films like Breakfast at Tiffany's, Roman Holiday, and My Fair Lady. But she ended up leaving Hollywood to raise her children. Her sons Luca and Sean recalled how Hepburn did her best to give the two a normal upbringing. Her sons claim that the actress was often there to pick them up from school and take them to different after-school activities. They lived together in a Swiss farmhouse in the countryside, and they made jams from their own fruit and took long walks around the property, all without the pressure of their mother's fame lingering over their heads. Also during this time, she was involved in extensive humanitarian work, becoming a force for good through her work with UNICEF. President George H.W. Bush eventually honored her with the Presidential Medal of Freedom in 1992. Gene Hackman was once a pillar of Hollywood success, starring in more than 90 movies and TV shows, and earning 2 Academy Awards and 4 Golden Globes during his long career. At what was arguably the height of Gene's success, he completely fell off the grid, disappearing from the public eye almost entirely, and leaving many to wonder what really led to his sudden departure. It turns out the actor actually quit acting because of the severe stress he was under, which became too much to handle after he started having issues with his heart. In 2004, he announced that he was done being an actor, and he packed his things up, leaving the razzle-dazzle of Los Angeles and headed for the quiet of New Mexico, and he never looked back. Bridget Fonda is part of the famous Fonda family, which includes her grandfather, Oscar winner Henry Fonda, her aunt, actress and fitness icon Jane Fonda, and her father, Golden Globe winner Peter Fonda. From the late 1980s into the 1990s, Bridget Fonda's career was the very definition of successful, as she starred in thrillers like Single White Female, warm-hearted romantic comedies like Singles and It Could Happen to You, and the Tarantino classic Jackie Brown. For more than a decade, Fonda consistently made 3 to 4 films a year, with more than 30 in all. With that sort of workload, it's easy to imagine that Fonda simply burned out. But she also married composer Danny Elfman in 2003, and she shifted into a stay-at-home mom, who took care of Elfman's kids from a previous marriage, and welcomed a son of her own in 2005. Ever since then, Fonda has maintained a low profile and is rarely seen. Most of us remember the TV show Chips, starring Larry Wilcox and Eric Estrada. The hit TV series aired from 1977 to 1983, and viewers couldn't get enough of the 2 leading motorcycle cops. Although the 2 stars played best friends on screen, they were far from friendly off-screen. They would often argue with each other, even in interviews. This led to Wilcox leaving the show before the series ended, and to keep busy, Wilcox promoted charities like Cops for Kids, acted as a celebrity spokesman, and invested in a range of companies. He also moved into producing with projects like the Ray Bradbury Theater and the TV movie Death of a Centerfold, the Dorothy Stratton story, which starred Jamie Lee Curtis. But for the last decade or so, his focus has been on investing, which also got him into trouble in 2010 when he pled guilty to securities fraud. Ginny Wright first began in off-Broadway productions, but quickly moved into supporting roles during the 1980s. She showed up in The World According to Garp, Pink Floyd's The Wall, and the made-for-television movie The Executioner's Song. These roles led to more exposure in films like St. Elmo's Fire and Out of Bounds. Unfortunately, Ginny Wright never had much of a chance to break into leading lady status, as she was always relegated to tramp roles. During the 1990s, there was Queen's Logic, Young Guns 2, and The Lawnmower Man, but after that, she virtually disappeared from Hollywood. Ian Mitchell Smith was a young ballet dancer who just lucked into acting, landing his first role as the younger version of Timothy Hutton's title character, Daniel, in the 1983 film. Acting lessons followed, and 2 years later he was co-starring with a high school friend named Anthony Michael Hall in Weird Science. He continued acting up until 1991, and instead of being typecast to play nerdy characters, Ian Mitchell Smith decided to stop acting altogether and turn to academia. He is now a professor of medieval literature and culture at California State University, Long Beach. He has a PhD in English literature and a bachelor's and master's degree in medieval studies. In 2017, Ian guest starred as a high school science teacher in an episode of The Goldbergs, but he plans to keep his day job because he loves teaching. Meg Ryan enjoyed her reign as America's sweetheart from the late 1980s through the 1990s. She was seen on screen frequently and became especially beloved for her roles in romantic comedies, including When Harry Met Sally, Sleepless in Seattle, and You've Got Mail. Ryan was studying in college when she tried acting as a mere side hustle. When projects started pouring in, she decided to drop out and focus just on acting. In 2019, Ryan said, "I wasn't as curious about acting as I was about other things that life had to offer. I wanted to live more." She also revealed that she never dreamed about being an actor when she was growing up. The former star has also shifted more into producing films and working behind the camera, which has allowed her to prioritize her family and friends. Her life as a rom-com queen is a far cry from her life today. Instead of being a movie star, she is more likely to be found directing a movie where she can help other actors hone their craft. Sometimes critics can really damage an actor's career. This was the case for Greta Garbo, whose 1941 film Two-Faced Woman was so maligned that the iconic actress left Hollywood completely. She was 36 years old and had made 31 movies in just 20 years, which reflected not just her work ethic, but also her enormous popularity in both the US and her native Europe. While her career did have some highs and lows, the issue was less about getting good parts and more about Garbo simply not wanting to be an actor anymore. Garbo was already known for being extremely private compared to other celebrities, and she didn't often give interviews. She preferred the solitude of quiet life from 1941 until her death in 1990 at the age of 84. Jack Nicholson was once a beacon of Hollywood success, starring in more than 70 movies and TV shows, and earning 12 Oscar nominations throughout his long career, making him the most nominated male actor in history. All the while, Nicholson became known as a wild partier and an infamous womanizer. While the Hollywood legend never publicly announced his retirement from acting, he hasn't appeared in anything since 2010, with numerous reports that he is suffering from dementia. In addition to starring on the big screen, another place Nicholson has been frequently spotted over the years is courtside at Los Angeles Lakers games. Recently, he was in the news again after he made his return to watch his favorite team, after a nearly 2-year absence. Let me know in the comments if I missed anything, and maybe even consider supporting the channel over on Patreon. If you enjoyed this video, consider watching this playlist, and then visit the channel to search the Recollection Road Library. As always, thank you so much for watching.